Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we've got an absolutely incredible transformation to unpack. When we first looked at the West Bank First Nations 2024/2025 annual report, we figured, hey, standard corporate document, right? Actually, scratch that. It's anything but dry. It's a profound blueprint for what decolonized governance actually looks like in the modern world. We're talking about a story of reclaiming culture, expanding jurisdiction, and completely rewriting the rules of how an organization operates. So our story is grounded right here in the stunning landscape of Squatok-Quinmute. These are the historic lands of the West Bank First Nation, nestled in the south-central interior of British Columbia. And yet it's been 2 full decades since the nation made the incredibly courageous choice to chart its own course and govern these lands on its own terms. Which brings us to this massive milestone, 20 years. Back on April 1st, 2005, West Bank First Nation officially achieved self-government. For 2 solid decades, they've been building up strong governance, fiercely protecting their lands, and advancing their economy. It's an achievement that requires immense dedication, and it's the foundation for literally everything we're going to explore today. I think Chief Robert Louis really hits the nail on the head here. He says, "It was a courageous choice, and today we honor not only the progress we have made, but also the generations who helped us arrive here." That sets our tone perfectly, doesn't it? This isn't just some administrative win. It is a multi-generational vision of resilience and responsibility. All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at 20 years of self-government, dive into the way of the people, look at expanding governance and jurisdiction, then empowering the next generation, and finally looking toward the future. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, 20 years of self-government. What does self-governance actually look like when you break it down into numbers and daily life? Well, these numbers reveal a wildly complex reality. The nation has a core membership of 918 people, but they're actually responsible for governing 11,000 non-member residents across a land base of 5,360 acres spread over 5 different parcels. Just to put that into perspective, they're managing infrastructure, laws, and community services for a population that's over 10 times larger than their membership. That requires a seriously sophisticated government. But beyond those impressive stats, self-government is, at its heart, about the community. It's all about the people. They're the ones actively shaping this government. In fact, they recently came together on September 18th to cast their votes and swear in their 2025 to 2028 Chief and Council. It's this vibrant culture that really drives the whole administration. And that brings us to Section 2, which is really the core transformation of our explainer today, the way of the people. This is where things get absolutely revolutionary. So over the past year, the nation asked a really profound question: why on earth should an indigenous government operate using a standard colonial corporate structure? The answer they found is Squelskewat, or the way of the people. A hugely diverse working group of youth, elders, members, and staff got together and completely decolonized their organizational framework from the inside out. They threw out the corporate playbook and rooted everything in their own matriarchal traditions instead. Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is this beautiful artwork by WFN member Coralie Miller. It isn't just a pretty picture for the lobby, it is literally their new organizational chart. No more rigid little boxes and cold corporate hierarchies. They created a living story centered on the 4 food chiefs to guide exactly how the government operates and makes decisions. Let's break down how this actually works day to day. Chief Bitterroot drives stewardship and relationships. Chief Black Bear embodies tradition and leadership. Chief Spring Salmon stands for sustainability and resilience. And Chief Saskatoon Berry, that's all about innovation and growth. So now every single project or department aligns with these living principles rather than just being stuffed into a top-down corporate silo. And the details here are just brilliant. Look above the chiefs. You've got the fly, which is this constant reminder for the government to always listen to the overlooked voices. The rainbow speaks to their resilience after facing challenges, and the sun acts as the guiding light of their constitution. It's like a giant puzzle where even the tiniest elements represent these massive collective governance concepts. So the crucial point to take away here is how this completely shifts the everyday work culture. They're moving away from that old paradigm of you versus me, the one that creates those stubborn corporate silos we all dread, to a new paradigm of us versus the problem. It's all about true collaboration, ensuring every single voice matters. Honestly, it's an organizational masterclass. Moving right along to Section 3, expanding governance and jurisdiction. Let's see how all this internal cultural strength translates directly into external political power. Right now, West Bank First Nation is aggressively pursuing government-to-government negotiations with the province of British Columbia. They've got three major priorities on the table. First up, taking full jurisdiction over child and family services. Second, securing a lease for the submerged lands or foreshore right in front of their reserves. And third, initiating vital land-back discussions to get historic lands officially returned to their jurisdiction. And they're expanding this jurisdiction at literally every level. Regionally, they're working on an inclusive regional governance initiative to fully integrate into regional decision-making. On the ground, they're negotiating an MOU to give their law enforcement officers special officer status to enforce environmental and wildlife laws. Plus, internally, a working group is busy reviewing and updating their 20-year-old constitution to make sure it reflects what the community needs today. Now, to be fair, not all negotiations are moving at lightning speed. The report notes that discussions on collaborative fiscal policies, specifically around infrastructure and language revitalization, have kind of stalled out. First Nations leadership even traveled all the way to Ottawa to advocate for these models, but right now, they're still just awaiting federal cabinet approval. Of course, building a strong nation takes way more than just political negotiations, right? It requires investing heavily in the people. That brings us to Section 4. Empowering the next generation. Okay, this metric really caught our attention. Out of the 265 staff members currently employed by the nation, 32% are now West Bank First Nation members. And if you include all staff who identify as Indigenous, that number shoots up to 59%. This is the direct result of some highly focused, aggressive internal recruitment to make sure the government is actually run by the community it serves. And this brilliantly illustrates the kind of momentum we're talking about. In just over a year, they hired 25 WFN members into roles across the organization. For context, that's up from only 7 the previous year. They also recruited 8-member summer students into customized roles and launched a brand new learning and development strategy with a dedicated coordinator to upskill the entire workforce. But this empowerment extends way beyond just office jobs. It's about reclaiming sovereign knowledge out in the field. For instance, the WFN Archaeology Office kicked off the Moose Study. It combines scientific research, food sovereignty, and cultural practice to help families adapt to wildlife declines, all while keeping their traditional ways of life intact. It's all beautifully interconnected. With such a rock-solid foundation built up over the last 20 years, we arrive at our final section, Section 5, looking toward the future. The nation is taking some highly pragmatic, aggressive steps to protect its future. They're rolling out a comprehensive emergency management plan for wildfires, earthquakes, and floods. They've even brought on a dedicated emergency response coordinator to work with partnerships like FireSmart. And on the economic side, they ended the year with a healthy financial surplus, meaning their growth is locked in and secure for the generations ahead. So, as we wrap up this explainer on West Bank First Nation's incredible 20-year journey of self-governance and decolonization, I really want to leave you with this thought to chew on. How can modern governance everywhere better integrate traditional Indigenous values to build truly resilient communities? I mean, if the way of the people can completely transform this nation from the inside out, just imagine what those collaborative, stewardship-based principles could do for organizations worldwide. Something to think about, for sure. Thanks for learning with us today.